It's easy to see why fans are obsessed with James Spader in The Blacklist, but Red is far from the first slick-talking character he's played, and it's not even Spader's best. As Raymond "Red" Reddington, Spader brought an unmatched mix of charm, menace, and eccentricity to the role of a criminal mastermind turned FBI informant. Whether Reddington was confessing dark secrets, monologuing about fine wine, or coolly dismantling his enemies, Spader's performance always held the spotlight, and rightly so. For over a decade, The Blacklist was defined by one thing above all else: James Spader being at his absolute Spaderist. Still, what if Spader had already reached his peak well before he ever donned Reddington's fedora? Long before The Blacklist made him a household name again, Spader anchored another series, one that let him unleash all of his dramatic power, biting wit, and moral complexity in even richer ways. This earlier show wasn't just a legal drama. It was a character study, a social commentary, and a deeply human comedy wrapped into one. And with Spader at its center, it became one of the best TV dramas of its time. That series was Boston Legal, and even though The Blacklist is great, Spader's earlier work surpasses it. James Spader's best TV show is Boston Legal. Boston Legal blended courtroom drama, political satire, and eccentric character work better than almost any show on TV. If The Blacklist made James Spader a late-career legend, Boston Legal proved he was already there. Created by David E. Kelly, Boston Legal was a spin-off of The Practice and ran on ABC from 2004 to 2008. A legal dramedy with sharp writing and a knack for blending high-stakes issues with surreal humor, the show centered around the eccentric lawyers at Crane, Poole and Schmidt, and no one was more eccentric, or compelling, than James Spader's Alan Shaw. At a glance, Boston Legal may look like a typical courtroom procedural, but it's far more than that. The show mixed absurd comedy with timely legal and ethical debates, and its dynamic storytelling gave Spader the freedom to flex his full range of skills. One moment, he's making a heartfelt closing argument about civil liberties. The next, he's flirting with judges, dueling in paintball battles, or sipping scotch on a balcony with Denny Crane, played by William Shatner. The tonal shifts shouldn't work, but they do, largely because Spader grounds it all with intelligence, soul, and a glint of mischief. Compared to The Blacklist, Boston Legal gave Spader more room to develop a morally complicated character over time. While Raymond Reddington is enigmatic and entertaining, Alan Shaw is fully lived in, a passionate, deeply flawed man who frequently challenges the very system he works in. Spader earned 3 consecutive Emmys for Boston Legal, and for good reason. Watching him in the show is like watching a masterclass in acting every single week. Before The Blacklist ever aired, James Spader had already portrayed Alan Shaw for 5 full seasons, and across 2 different TV series. He first stepped into the role in the final season of The Practice in 2003, where his charismatic but morally flexible lawyer immediately stole the spotlight. His success on The Practice led directly to the groundbreaking courtroom drama Boston Legal, where Alan Shaw became the heart and soul of the show. What makes Alan Shaw so compelling isn't just that he's brilliant in court, though he is, it's that he's unpredictable, idealistic, cynical, romantic, and flawed all at once. He fights passionately for causes he believes in, yet isn't afraid to manipulate the system when he sees fit. He's an outspoken defender of civil rights but doesn't pretend to be a saint. Spader imbues Alan Shaw with nuance and contradiction that few TV characters can match. Compared to Raymond Reddington in The Blacklist, Alan Shaw is arguably a deeper and more challenging role. Reddington thrives on mystery and theatrical flair, but Alan Shaw is rooted in moral conflict and emotional honesty. Where Reddington spins riddles and veiled threats, Alan delivers blistering monologues and gut-wrenching soliloquies. The writing on Boston Legal often gave Spader the final word, literally, with powerful closing arguments that addressed everything from gun control to corporate corruption. More than 100 episodes later, Spader's Alan Shaw stands out not just as a great character, but as one of TV's most unique legal minds. Unlike many long-running characters, Alan never grew stale thanks to Spader's ability to shift seamlessly between biting sarcasm and genuine vulnerability. It's no exaggeration to say that Boston Legal offered James Spader an even more layered and transformative role than The Blacklist ever did. James Spader in The Blacklist may be the most widely recognized version of the actor today, but it's just one highlight in a career full of complex, quirky, and unforgettable performances. Whether he's playing a smooth-talking lawyer or a philosophical supervillain, Spader has made a career out of turning unconventional roles into defining moments. He broke out in the 80s in movies like Pretty in Pink and Sex, Lies, and Videotape, where his roles leaned toward the morally ambiguous. In the 2000s, he took that to another level with Alan Shaw, but Spader's willingness to play characters with sharp edges never went away. Even in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, his turn as Ultron in Avengers: Age of Ultron is anything but generic. He brought eerie wit and existential dread to the villainous robot, making Ultron one of the more memorable MCU antagonists. Plus, of course, James Spader in The Blacklist solidified his status as a television heavyweight. Few actors could have made Reddington's blend of menace and oddball charm so compelling, but Spader did it effortlessly. What ties all of his best roles together is his command of language, his unique vocal delivery, and his gift for turning even the most offbeat characters into something oddly human. Whether it's Ultron, Reddington, Alan Shaw, or even Robert California in The Office, Spader doesn't just play characters, he owns them. While The Blacklist may be his most mainstream hit, Boston Legal remains the finest showcase of his extraordinary talent.